welcome to Small Biz and Coffee. I know it's been a while, and the reason I really wanted to come on, I actually just got off of a private live stream with my students, and I was just like in a live stream mood, and I have been meaning to do this topic for quite some time, and I'm just like, let's just do it. So I was on with my students for about an hour, and we were really going over business plans, writing business plans, had some conversations about that. And I remember the last time I did a live stream podcast for Small Biz and Coffee, someone suggested in the comments something about creative block or something of that nature, and I was like, that's a really great topic. So I wanted to hop on today and just kind of talk about that and reconnect with you all, because I haven't talked to you guys in quite some time. So yes, welcome to, I think this is episode 13 of Small Biz and Coffee, the podcast. And I don't have coffee today because I've had way too much caffeine, which is probably why I'm just in a talkative mood and wanting to get on live today. So hello for everyone who is watching so suddenly. And I know it's like a Tuesday, a random day. I gave you no warning that I was getting on, so there might not be a lot of viewers, but let's just talk anyway. So I usually like to start off with some updates. First of all, my set is looking rather nice if you are watching on video. So my husband did some stuff with the lights. So now in our little hutch we have lights. We have this little purple ombre thing, and I'm going to be putting some wall art on here too, so it looks just a little bit nicer, but it's looking pretty good, I must say. A story that I told to my students, and I think I'm going to tell you guys too, because it had to do with candles. It was crazy, but I like to be accommodating to my customers, and someone messaged me and was like, I know they were very nice this whole time, so none of it was demanding or rude at all. So the whole time they were pretty nice. And she said, I know it's last minute and my friend's birthday's on a Monday. And this was a Friday, by the way, that I'm seeing this email. My friend's birthday's on Monday. If I place my order, would I be able to get it? Blah, blah, blah. And so I thought about it, and I was like, with Priority Express, you could probably get it. It's going to cost quite a bit in shipping. And she was like, that's fine. I'll pay the shipping. Hello, everybody tuning in. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's get the candle out. So this was Friday, and I'm trying to arrange this whole candle order. And she was, like I said, was very nice, paid the increased shipping cost and everything. So I packaged her order up, and it was I needed a Priority Express mailer. And my post office is a very small post office, and they didn't carry that mailer, so I had to go to a bigger post office. So I was driving to a bigger post office, and it's raining, and it was like peak time to not be driving. I hate driving when it's like between 3 and 4 because all the school buses, it's just too much. But anyways, I had to do it because before the post office closed. So I was driving to the next town, and I was stopping for a school bus because they were stopping to let kids off. So I stopped, and the lady behind me, she like slid and she rear-ended me while I'm trying to get this order out. And then so I get out, and the lady's very nice. She's apologizing. Her kid's in the car, and I barely got my car scratched, and her whole bumper flew off. And I was just like, oh my God. My husband was with me too. And it was like not even a big deal. Like my car kind of just got scratched on the back. And honestly, I've had my SUV for 5 years. We paid like $4,000 for it. It's not a Lamborghini. and I have gotten some scratches on it myself. So I told the lady, I said, hey, it's not a big deal. It's a scratch. I'm not going to do anything about it. It's not like, the car is fine. But her car was all like, she had the bumper, and she's like, are you sure? And so it was a whole thing. The lady was nice. She had to get someone to help her with her bumper. But anyway, so I'm driving to the post office, and then it starts pouring. And finally I get the mailer and send it off. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then this morning I was looking at my reviews on Shopify, and then the customer left me a 5-star review, and I was like, okay, at least I got a 5-star review out of all this. But it was kind of crazy. But anyway, that was my crazy story, trying to get that order out on Friday. But today's topic, we are going to talk about creative block. And honestly, like I told you guys, I just decided I was going to hop on here like an hour ago. But I do have some notes, and I pulled up a really good article that I liked on this topic. But let me silence my phone first of all. And I can definitely, hello, how are you? I can definitely relate to this because I have gone through stages of creator's block, stages of like, I don't want to work. Sometimes people will ask me that too. They'll be like, do you ever get in stages where you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to work anymore. I have gone through that, honestly. But I figured let's talk about it, right? So let's talk about creator's block. So I pulled up an article, and I'm going to switch my screen over to this so we can like look at it together, right? Just talking about creative block, going through this article by Aniko. I have no idea who this person is. I just Googled and found this article, and I thought, I didn't even look at all the tips yet, but the tips I looked at, I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. That is exactly what I would say in that situation. So we're going to go through it together. But yeah, I'm going to switch my screen, and it's going to do this whole thing. So let's see. All right, now look at us. Now we're on this screen. How fancy. Woohoo. Okay. All right, so this article by, it's on AnnaMyStory.com by Aniko, a creative illustrator and designer. So creative blocks, how do you overcome them, and what are they? So I'm not going to read this word for word, but yeah, we're going to see. Let's see here. Creative blocks, they come and go easily, and you simply need some proper night's sleep and a good morning coffee. Let's see. So here's what turns out. Creative blocks can be a serious condition among artists, designers, and other creatives. It cannot affect only your work, but your overall well-being and even mental health. So I definitely, when I saw this, I was like, yes, because sometimes we think creative block is just like where you don't have any ideas anymore, but I think it's so much deeper than that. Sometimes you can feel really down about yourself. You can feel like everything's going crazy just because, you know, you haven't, for me personally, I'm going to speak from my experience, like you're not putting out products. You're like, oh, you know, nobody likes my stuff anymore. And it's very scary, especially when you are self-employed, because your mindset kind of gets into, well, what if it's over for me? What if, you know, last year was my peak year and now I can't put out any products and now people don't want my stuff anymore. So it can kind of go a lot deeper than what, you know, we can think about a creative block. It's just like, oh, I just can't think of anything right now. But I think it goes a lot deeper. So that's one thing I really liked about this article. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I think this person has been there, done that, same. So your usual higher level or creative output, it can occur when you least expect it and can last way longer than you'd like it to. Even when you love what you do, there's no guarantee that you will never experience this condition. So that is very true. So sometimes it could be scary because you might think, well, am I like over candle making? Is it, you know, should I stop now? So I've definitely gone through that before. And I feel like sometimes it's hard to pinpoint creative block too. I feel like for the past, you know, several months, or I would say few months or so, I have kind of been going through this and not even realizing it's creative block. I think it was maybe a combination of a lot of things. But I realized I think a big part of it was like a creative block kind of situation. So let's look at some comments. This discussion is very much needed. I felt this way since I've started working another job lately. Yes, so I go through this, you guys, and I would say I was actually just telling my students that honestly this year monetarily was not as good as last year for me, But I feel like I have gotten a lot of opportunities, a lot of things, but I did go through, I would say, was some creative block for a while. I felt like my stuff was boring. I couldn't think of anything that really like went with the brand, and it was just like this whole thing. And then I didn't really feel like working that much, and then I wanted to do other things. So it can really lead to like a lot of different issues, I guess. Signs of creative block to look out for. So let's see if we agree with these tips here. Struggling to start working on something new, feeling stuck, doubting your abilities, delays in delivering work, and procrastination. Like this was me. This was me for months. And I feel like sometimes we think, okay, creative block, let me just take a week off. I think this, for me personally, it can last for months. But I would say from my experience, maybe working a lot and you just want to take some time off, like don't be afraid to take time off, if it's a month, if it's a 2-month time off, sometimes I think in this day and age we think, okay, time off, let me give it a couple days, because if I don't post for a couple days, I'm going to drop off the algorithm or whatever. But seriously, don't be afraid to take time off if you need it, because that time off you can really think of just something so great during that time off, or a whole bunch of new ideas come to you that would not have come to you if your mind was just busy with work and all of these other things. So I definitely think I was going through this type of situation for maybe about 3 months or so. 3 months, I would say, ever since I started moving into this building. Maybe that's what triggered it. Just like for the other commenter here, it was starting a new job. So I think maybe life changes too can trigger this. For me, it does. So trying to take on a new project, it could really like mess with your flow. So I think this did happen for me as well. What causes creative block? I don't know. A pretty common case of overwork. We often get caught up in the whirlwind of everyday job routine. It's easy not to notice that the sheer amount of work can grow from time to time. Meanwhile, the time we spend on rest stays the same or even diminishes, especially during some important projects or busy periods. Didn't I just say this? I told you, I did not really read this before we started. So we simply don't notice that we overwork on a daily basis. Meanwhile, is one of the biggest and most common reasons for creative block. I absolutely agree. Being a solo entrepreneur is a lot of work, especially when you're first starting. Sometimes I look back at what I used to do and I'm like, how did I do that? Like, I don't know how I did that. And I feel like, yeah, when you definitely overwork yourself, you can just get into this, this mood where you're like, wow, you've done enough and now it's time to rest. You know what I mean? Hello. So we got a new person in here. Hello. We are just reading about creative block from this article, and you can hear the train. I feel like that train passes by whenever I'm doing a live stream. It passes by quite often. Self-doubt and anxiety. True. Getting second thoughts and feeling anxious is also not a rare thing. Sometimes the working idea doesn't materialize into real outcome fast enough. Very true. Or comes out not the way we envisioned it. Or we come across someone's execution of our idea that seems better than what we produced. Oh my gosh, who is this person? Because they are hitting every point here. It can cause self-doubt and a whole package of unpleasant emotions that come with it. This directly influences our creative productivity, leading to the creative block issue. So how many of you have done that? Like, you see someone else and you're like, oh my gosh, they're killing it. Especially on social media, because people tend to post like how many orders they're getting, or it took me 10 truckloads to go to the post office today. You're like, whoa. But I think that, yeah, that can definitely, play a role too. Self-doubt and anxiety. So if you're feeling like, oh, well, I don't know if I can do it, or, I definitely think that can be a a big player in why you might not be creating or feeling like creating things. Rejection of your work and criticism. Ooh. It's not easy to accept criticism of your own work that you've been working on, especially when it's not fair or comes from someone who doesn't have a full understanding of the topic or the needed background to be the judge. So these are those family members or friends that are like, how's your little business doing? Those are the people who look at your business and they're like, oh, I don't know. There's a lot of people making candles out there. I don't know if that's a good idea, if you should invest money into that. You know, those little voices or people around you who kind of doubt you at first. That could contribute to why you feel like not creating something. Could cause feelings of uncertainty and an inspirational crisis. So it is really nice to have those supporters. I know sometimes you may not have those people in your life, but for me, my husband was always really supportive of, what I do. And I know that could be really harsh when people, you tell them your idea and people close to you don't believe in you or anything like that. That does suck. That really does. That's like probably one of the hardest things to get over is when you don't have a support system. And because, doing this whole thing by yourself is a lot. And then when people don't understand what you're going through and then you're just sitting here in the corner stressed out and then people are like, okay, what's going on? It's really hard. So I think when people are in groups and stuff like that, so I know a lot of people are in Facebook groups and that could be helpful, or finding other people in your, niche or something that can help you, having another candle business owner that you can talk to. I know I have a person that I will get on Zoom with and we kind of talk to each other, bounce ideas, or just networking with people. So I think I mentioned in my last video that I went to a business conference and I got out of my comfort zone. They gave us a challenge and they were like, okay, your challenge for this conference is to talk to 3 other people. And I was like, oh. So I was like, okay. So finally I did get up and start talking, and I met with another lady and we were just talking about, things here and there. So it is nice to have people you can connect with, exchange information, and maybe chat with. And a very unlikely person, the girl who made the signs for my business, so she did the neon signs, she actually reached out too because she asked me for something, I think like a picture, and it took me a long time to respond back to her, like honestly like a week. And she asked me twice, and then I finally was like, hey, here's your picture, sorry, a lot going on, wasn't really on social media. And she's like, oh, no problem. And she actually was like asking me, are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? You can like text me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. So when you find people who are like actually wanting to talk to you and who know what you're going through, that can help you a lot. So, and it comes in the most unlikely places. Like I would have never thought, that she would ask me that, but that was really cool of her and really nice that she was just so open to like talking to a total stranger. Let's see. So we're going through this article and we went through that point, rejection and criticism. So this next point that this artist makes is external reasons like family or money problems. So that could definitely be a contributor to not wanting to work, obviously, because, there are probably more issues on your mind rather than work. So if you're having family problems or if you're having money problems, I can definitely see how that could, contribute to creative block, not wanting to create things. So like I was saying to my students, I could definitely make an income doing something else like selling shoes or, I feel like if the candle business fell through or something, I have enough knowledge to do something else, but it's not necessarily something that I'm passionate about. But if I needed to make money in another area, I definitely have the knowledge on how to do that. So sometimes, when you're starting the business and you don't have money, that could lead to stress, anxiety, all of that stuff. And eventually you could quit because you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much money. But this whole candle thing went through, I would do DoorDash. Like I would just park my car somewhere in Dallas and just do DoorDash for like 8 hours because you can make some pretty good money doing that. I don't really see myself ever going back to like a regular job. So even if, I don't think my business is going to fail, but this was just me hypothetically being like, with everything that I've learned doing this whole business thing, I could definitely just do something else really easily. But money can contribute to, being stressed out about your business. That's why, like, if you've ever seen my other videos, which I'm actually going to make an updated video of how to start your candle business, and I'm going to talk a lot about money. Because that's one of my most viewed videos on my channel to this day. People still watch that video even though it was like 2018. But saving money in the beginning before even quitting your job is going to reduce that anxiety so much. And it may not be the most glamorous thing to have to do DoorDash or to have to buy and resell stuff, but if it helps to relieve any anxiety when you do decide to really get into, starting your business, it helps a lot. Like, for instance, my building, I've been in here since July, and there was no way I anticipated not being open this long. I really thought I was going to open in like August, maybe September, but because the furniture took so long, which it's on a boat now. It's on its way. It's going to be at the dock on the 18th. I had no idea it was going to take this long. So imagine if I didn't have the money saved up to pay the rent. That would have been stressful. I would have wanted to give up and it would have been really stressful. So always having the money before you do something is just going to help you a lot. And it sounds like scary, or you're like, okay, you say just have the money, but if you really get creative, there are so many different ways to make money. Like I said, just may not be glamorous, but you can make money out there with all of those different apps and DoorDash and all of that stuff. So let me look at the comments. All right. Let's see. This is a really good article. Existential crisis. We all have moments in life that carry high importance for us. It can be anything from getting married or changing a job, moving a city. So definitely. So these things can trigger, okay. So basically she's saying that any different changes in your life can trigger, creative block for me moving into this building because I had so many different things I had to do from that point. And I was just like, wow. So I really wasn't prepared as I was last year for like fall and stuff like that. So anytime you start something new, don't be ashamed if you're not producing like you used to, because of course you're adjusting to this whole new thing that you're starting. Okay, now we're getting into how to overcome a creative block. Admit that you have creative block. Recognizing that you have creative block is a big step to coping with it. You are neither lazy nor lacking talent. It's just one of those days, or it could be months, it just really depends on your timeline. So for someone it could be days, but for me it tends to last for me, like I would say a couple months. I feel like I went through something last year and it was during the same time, so that was really strange too, but it could last you months. Change your routine or take a break. Don't allow yourself to focus on your condition. Don't waste time dwelling on it. Just do something else. She didn't put that in her article, but this is my words. Just do something else. Honestly, for me, it really helps for me to do other things. Like if you notice, I do a lot of other little hobbies. So I like to sew, knit. I just started learning painting. I like to do other things. And sometimes that sparks ideas when you don't have to stress about work. So if you're really just stressing about work all the time, it's going to be really hard to get out of that. But, for me, sewing isn't work. So it really is just for fun. So I can spend time, I can put it down, pick it up whenever, and it doesn't have a deadline. You know what I mean? So for me, I like to get into other things. So when I'm taking time off, I'll be like, okay, let me just sew this thing, or, let me knit. Or sometimes I like to learn a new hobby, and that really gets my mind off of everything. So learning something new like painting, or I think that's why I have so many hobbies, because I'll try to learn something new, and that's my way of relaxing. So if your way of relaxing is different, then do that. Maybe you like organizing your space. Sometimes that could refresh your mind. Organizing your desk, or cleaning up, or rearranging. Those are things that you can try too. Or like a little getaway. So maybe you can do, going to an Airbnb for a weekend, and just kind of unplugging and really, doing your own thing, or reading a book. Those are things you can do too. That sounds nice. I would like to do that. But, oh, look, she put that in here. Reading a book, going for a bicycle ride, things like that. She's like on YouTube, and she's like, hey, I'm back. And people are like, oh, okay, nice to see you again. So don't be afraid to take time off maybe. Switch to your passion project. Ooh, that's what we were just talking about. So do you have something else? Working on passion projects can provide a nice distraction on your mind. You don't need to present your outcome to anyone or meet any deadlines. Just like what I said, you guys, you are in full control here. To me, I just love when I take time off and sewing something new, like a whole new dress, or just a whole new project. And then when you see the finished project, you're like, yes, I feel good now. I feel good. Even reading books and stuff, I would say that was one of my hobbies. Before this whole thing, I used to read a lot of books and go to the movies by myself. So I used to go to the dollar movies, during weekdays, because I'm very much so I like to just do things by myself a lot of the time. So I would go to the movies. I would every week I would pick up a different Stephen King book and just read stuff. So if you want to get back to that place where you weren't busy with everything, take some time off. Take a week, a 2 week, 3 weeks, read some books. It'll be okay. I promise you, people will hardly notice you were gone, and when you come back, they'll be like, oh, hey, yeah, nice, you're back. Have some time for yourself. We artists are very sensitive folks, and that's the reason we must be extremely attentive to our mental health. Listen to your body and try to recognize the bad signs. If you feel like you are taking too much on, allow yourself to slow down. Do not take any more work for some time. Very true. Maybe you need a small break from social media, even a couple days of solitude to clear the mess in your head. Figure out what works for you. For the best, and allow yourself to take me time. Be egotistic. This is one rare occasion where it's a really good thing, actually. That is very true. Let it be about you for some time, I think last year, I think I've told you guys before, I took a month off. I took December off. And it was awesome. I was just doing whatever. I went to an Airbnb, did my thing, and I was actually still kind of working, but it wasn't a ton. Definitely, was I on social media? I don't remember. You know what? I closed my shop, actually. I do remember closing my shop, and I just put I'll be back on this date or whatever. But yeah, sometimes just taking time to do you. Seriously, I know we have so much pressure to be on, doing all of these things, and I feel like we're so accessible all the time, with DMs and answering comments, liking. You're expected to be so active on all these platforms. It can just be a lot. Don't chase perfection. Sometimes the reason behind your creative block is a consistent chase for perfection. Nothing seems good enough, and you continue making tweaks to your work while staying unhappy with the results. I feel like I've been there before. Sometimes I'll think too hard. I'll have this big idea, and I'm like, it has to be like this, and it's just sometimes you got to dial it back because, for example, my Sunday idea, I think in my video last that I just posted, I was talking about my ice cream sundae candle thing, and I had been thinking about that, and I actually developed that a long time ago. I think 4 or 5 months ago, and I had just been thinking about it because I wanted to do this with the packaging and do this and this, and I was just like, just get over it and just put it out there. It's not that big of a deal, and you can always make tweaks to it after you put it out. So yeah, I definitely do that myself. And I have to learn how to get over that and just put it out there sometimes. Let me read your comments. I'm an extreme hobbyist. I think I'm the same too. Sending love from UK. Thank you for tuning in. I think I'm an extreme hobbyist too. And I don't know what that says about my mind, but I definitely like to do everything. Once I kind of get a hold of one hobby and figure enough out, then I'll move on to the next thing. And I don't know what that is, if there is a reason for that, but I like to do that too. But I like to learn everything though. I want to learn how to do everything because I feel like our minds are always like sponges, even when we're adults. And I just want to learn how to do everything, especially because I think it has a lot to do with my childhood. I didn't do many art form stuff because it just wasn't something that like the family talked about. We didn't talk about art or creative things. I was never really encouraged to do art because we didn't really have a whole bunch of money to just spend on art stuff. So I never did art. I never did it. And in my art class, I actually entered like a painting competition. I don't know what it was, but it was like I won second place, and I was like, okay. And I remember them wanting to do like more art stuff with me, but then I never did it. So I think I'm just making up for not doing all of that art stuff back when I was younger. Maybe that's what that is. Share your concerns. So the writer has how to overcome creative block. So now she's saying share your concerns. Sometimes it's vital to have a fresh perspective. Ask your community, a close friend, or colleagues for their honest opinion. That's very true. I just said that earlier. If you have anyone in your niche or someone else you can talk to, yeah. And that was all she had to say there. That was really good. And I felt like everything that she said was like, whoa. Spot on, right? I have definitely gone through creative block, and I didn't even know at the time it was that, and I had no idea creative block could be so deep, like more than just, oh, I can't think of anything. There could be so many other reasons why you're experiencing what you are experiencing. So it's nice to be able to pinpoint that and then kind of like be like, okay, this is what we're working with. So hello. So thank you guys for tuning in. Got some viewers. I'm very surprised people are tuning in with such an impromptu live stream. But do you guys have anything else to add to the discussion? If you're just tuning in, we're talking about creative block, how to first recognize it, and then how to overcome it. And in the article we just read, the artist had some great suggestions, or pretty much some great points on why you might be experiencing creative block. And I think I wrote some stuff down too, but I think it really was just pretty much, it went with what they were talking about. I think the biggest one I would say is when it comes to taking a break, like seriously, just take as much time as you need and don't beat yourself up about it. So if you're just tuning in, I would say, I said earlier in the stream that I feel like the past few months for me have really been a stage of maybe creative block mixed in with just like working a whole bunch, and also mixed in with just me being by myself, honestly, because I haven't had a whole bunch of help. Like my husband actually helps a lot, but still with us too, it has been quite a bit of work keeping up with all the new projects and stuff going on. So, yeah, so that's what we were talking about. And sometimes it can last, like creative block can last for months. And, taking breaks is definitely one of the biggest, I think the biggest things you could do to help with creative block and overcoming that. And do you guys also have any other suggestions? Like, what do you guys do when you are experiencing creative block? Anything that we didn't talk about that you could chime in with? And I have to also announce that I'm going to be doing Etsy U. I know I've said that I was doing it before, but I think in the next few days or so, I will be posting a sign up for the workshop, and it's free. It's like an Etsy workshop where we talk about different topics. And I think, so my first workshop might be search engine optimization. And it's going to be fun. So totally free, learn some new stuff, and it might be helpful for the holidays, or if you're going to be starting an Etsy shop in the new year, that could be helpful. So yes, thank you all for tuning in. This was a fun live stream. I've been on live for like a few hours now, so let me get some water because my voice might be. Oh, also, what do you guys think of my live stream setup? My husband did the lights in the background, so he did he put the lights in this little, what is this little hutch. He made it look very seamless and nice in there. But yes, or if you guys have any other questions that aren't about the topic, you can ask those too while I'm on live. So I have to now that I know a little bit more about like creative block, I guess, because I've gone through it last year, I've gone through it this year, so now I know how to react to it, so I know what I'm going through, and I can be like, okay, so this is what I'm experiencing, let me just try doing my little routine of not getting on social media a whole bunch, doing something different, getting my life together. One thing I like to do too is redoing like my systems, I guess. So the way I kind of manage my business, I'll look at that too. I like organizing and doing all of that stuff. So I was using a digital planner for like quite some time, but then now I wanted to switch back to paper because I like paper. So I've had this paper planner for a while. It's just I haven't used it. So I went out today to Michael's and I bought some more little accessories for it. And that's one thing I did, kind of coming up with a new system, just because everything's kind of been so haywire. It is very pretty, yes. Everything's just been kind of haywire. But if you're wondering what the planner is, it's the My Happy Planner. Boop. You guys can see it there if you're watching, and it's really cute. And I bought like a little expansion pack. It has like notes, sticky notes and stuff that you can put in there, and then just extra like folders and stuff for the back. So I really enjoy coming up with systems and stuff. Also, I have a interview with a potential new hire tomorrow. And so I'm really excited about that and really excited to see if the interview goes well. Out of, I think, over 50 people that applied for the candle maker position, he was the only one that actually called. And he called, and I talked to him for not quite some time. I would say about 5 or so minutes. And he was very nice. The conversation went well. He said he was really into candles. He's never made candles before, so I don't know. We're going to see how the interview goes, but hopefully I can get someone hired soon so that we can, kind of organize everything here in the shop. But that is kind of what's been going on with me. But hopefully you guys learned a little bit more about creative block, how to overcome that, and how to recognize you're going through that moment. So please don't feel like, I would say for a while I was like, what's going on with me? Am I just being lazy? I definitely thought I was being like lazy, or I was procrastinating like for certain things. I'd be like, oh, I'll get to that later. But I don't know, it was more so within the past couple weeks or so, I've kind of been transitioning out of that. And then I'm like, okay, and then getting things together. So I don't know, it just really does take me a while to kind of go through that moment, recognize everything, do what I need to do, and then get right out of there. So I just feel like, it's a lot of pressure being a business person, especially when you don't have, I don't have like a business background or a business partner. My husband tries his best, but he doesn't know much about business either. So he'll do other things that aren't businessy. So he'll help me in ways that are making candles, setting things up, just doing like physical work and stuff. But sometimes when it comes to the actual processes, what am I supposed to do about, hiring people, marketing strategies, it can get a lot. But when you take time off, it really does refresh your mind. And then I don't know this is how it works for me. I'll be feeling crazy for a couple months, and then just suddenly I'm out of it and I'm like, oh, now everything seems so clear to me. It's just so strange how that works. But hello, Latasha, how are you? We are just, doing our live stream, Small Biz and Coffee this evening. But thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys have any other questions, put those in the chat before we hop off. So I'm very excited to do some Etsy workshops. All of a sudden, I'm just really excited about things that are happening. And I've really thought about what I'm going to do for October, because I love Halloween and I don't want to just do something so big to where I can't handle a project. Last year I did a Halloween video. I want to do something similar this year, but I'm just let's see what I can do with, a realistic time frame, so I'm not overworking myself. But we'll see what I do for Halloween. I kind of have an idea, but we'll see. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this podcast. It was really fun talking with you all. Hope you have a great evening, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.